If you've ever tried to figure out, well, how am I going to fund my trading account? I'm interested in it. I don't have enough money. Then stick around because this video is going to have a lot of different nuggets and things that I have done in order to fund my trading account. In this video, we're going to go through a whole bunch of things. So prepare to take notes and just think about it in terms of how you could apply this to your life, your situation. None of this is financial advice, and this is based on my own experience. So when it comes to funding your trading account, you may have seen people on social media with cars and watches and houses and stuff, and you want that stuff as well. I mean, most people do. So first off, before you even get to the point of funding your trading account, you want to ask yourself, why do you want to trade? And it's really easy to look at other people and be like, oh, I want to do that too. And that's amazing. It's great to have mentors, even people that you just see on social media or even in real life, that you want to be like them. One of the quotes that I really like is actually by Steve Jobs. He says, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And that's kind of how I felt when it came to trading. I've always had an interest in the stock market, and I remember over a decade ago, wow, this is maybe about 14 years ago, where I was interested in the stock market, and even earlier than that, but I was too afraid to take my first trade, too afraid to put money into the market because I was afraid of losing it. When it comes to asking yourself why you want to trade, really map out, why do you want it? Do you want to buy a new house? Do you want to buy a car? Do you want to just have a legacy, something, a skill that you can pass down to maybe your kids or other generations in your family? Why do you want this thing? Because trading is one of those things where it's going to be a lot of work, especially in the beginning, because there's so much information. You're watching this video now, you probably watched 100 other trading videos, maybe on this topic and various topics like it. So you have to keep doing the research and figure out if this is something that you love. So for me, this is definitely something that I love. I love the mechanism. I love Warren Buffett and his story and all of that. And that was actually one of the people, that I read about that influenced me to even pursue something on the side at this point in trading. So ask yourself why. Why? So the second thing is to make a decision and fund your trading account. And this is a really cool quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. It says, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. And I'm a firm believer in spirituality. And basically, when I decide to do something, all I have to do is take that first step, and the universe, God, angels, whatever you believe in, will basically provide the path for me to take. I make one step, one decision, and then that leads me to something else. Before I knew it, I acquired all these skills. I got exposed to different ideas and things that are helping me to this day, even though I made the decision over a decade ago in order to actually take my first trade and buy my first stock. And then third, you want to identify and change behaviors. So this is really important because I remember at one point I used to say, well, I don't have money for trading, or I don't have money for investing. And the truth is I did. And so I identified what I was spending my money on, and I realized at some point that spending is different than investing. So when you invest money, you're not necessarily putting it into the stock market or into a trading account or whatever, but it's investing money and investing in myself. So for me, that meant hiring coaches, buying programs, seminars, going to conferences, and all these different things, because like I said before, this exposed me to different ideas, different people who could, on my path, point me in the right direction. So that is one thing. How are you spending your money? You can ask yourself this, because it was a very powerful question for me when I was on this journey. And still on this journey. I still do this to this day. So the next is spending money. So I was spending money on unhealthy things like going to Chick-fil-A 2 to 3 times a week. I remember that, standing in that or sitting in that really long line in a drive-thru, getting some Chick-fil-A. Now I don't eat chicken or any land animals. So that's not even a thing for me, but there are other things that took place, like wine, ice cream, hair products. Especially as a Black woman, I have a lot of hair products and have given hair products away because I bought too many. But makeup, random Amazon purchases, too many random things. Like I get an idea for something and then I go to Amazon. Ooh, I wonder if they have it. And then there's 50 or hundreds of different items that could solve that problem that I think that I have. And next thing I know, I'm filling up my cart with hundreds of dollars worth of things that I really don't need. So, or really don't desire, but it's there and it's easy to buy. So just look at it from that frame, because that's something that I did. And I realized that, yeah, this money that I'm going to Amazon with, or going to Marshall's, I love Marshall's, going to Marshall's and just buying random crap for my house, I could be putting that into a trading account. So obviously, number 4, getting a job. And this is something that I actually did. So if you go to my earlier videos, maybe about 2 years ago, you can see that I was doing trading and learning trading at the same time, full time. And that was because I took a professional sabbatical so I can finish my MBA from Yale. And then once I finished that, I realized that in order to go to the different levels in trading that I want to, I need more capital. So the best way to get capital is to get a job. And for me, that meant getting a job that was 6 figures, or actually at this point, multiple 6 figures. So, it was kind of a no-brainer. So whatever skills that you have, whatever they may be, put that into a job. And then the thing that I do right now is I put aside a certain amount of my paycheck. So this is something that I automate. So I take about 5 to 10% of my take-home pay every 2 weeks, and I put money automatically into a long-term account, money that I can use for different investments, because now that I know how to chart and do it within a couple of minutes, it's really easy for me to be able to identify a company that I'm interested in, because like I said, I started off with investing. So typically I invest in really large cap stocks. So that will be really big companies like Apple, Google, Tesla, Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, whatever. So not financial advice, but these are companies that I'm interested in. And every 2 weeks, money is being taken out of my checking account automatically. And then when I'm ready to buy these things, then that money is already sitting there. I don't have to think about it. And then I do actually take it a step further. If there's a company that I'm looking at, I'll chart it up. And then the thing that I will do is I will go ahead and set a limit order, basically a certain price that I want to get the stock at, and then have the software on the back end for my broker to trigger it and then buy that stock for me. And it's easy because I already have that money inside of my account, because I do this thing every 2 weeks automatically, and I don't even think about it. Now, if it was left up to me, I may forget or be like, well, maybe I want to use this for something else, and then never get to it. So you have to automate it if you're going to go this route for yourself, and you have to do whatever number makes sense for you. So the other thing is, I do have money go into a trading account as well automatically. And then also I do buy cryptocurrency. So I have a Coinbase account, and of course they take fees and stuff, whereas the trading account don't take fees. And then a long-term account, there's no fees as well. But there are fees with crypto, and basically I dollar cost average, or DCA, into mostly Bitcoin. That's pretty much mostly what's sitting in my account right now, just because it's the most, there's a lot of liquidity or a lot of money inside of that market. So it's not going to be, hey, Bitcoin is, I don't know, moved up 50% today, and then it's down and worth nothing, like some of the altcoins or the smaller or unknown coins tend to do. So I don't even mess with those. Ethereum is another one that I do mess with as well. So the next thing is going to be savings. So this is actually a pretty obvious one. So just like me putting money automatically into my account, I do take another 5 to 10%. So if you're adding this up, you're like, wow, you take 20% of your take home pay and put into all these things. Well, maybe it's because you have, a really high salary, and that's partly true. But at the same time, even when I wasn't even making 6 figures, I was doing something similar, where I was taking money automatically from my checking account and putting it into all these different places. And that's how I actually got to 6 figures. So savings, I do take some money and have it go into my savings automatically. And then when it gets to a certain amount, or when I get a certain amount in savings, I will manually move that money into a long-term account, into a trading account, or into crypto, or maybe split it up between those different things to be able to fund my accounts and be able to have more money. And then having more money, of course, gives you the potential for more money in the future. That's why we do this thing in the first place. So number 6 is getting skills. So this to me means either monetizing the skills that you already have. So you obviously do this with a job, or identify what skills did you have and then monetize them. So let me talk about my journey and what I did here. So before we get into that, this is the quote that I love and I wanted to talk about it. So Grant Cardone, one of my favorite marketers and sales guys, and he's just amazing. He said, your income is directly related to your philosophy, not the economy. So this to me means that the way that I think about money is directly proportional to how much money I have. Which is why, going back up here, I wanted to automate. Like I knew and I believe that if I have some money and I put it into the stock market, then it has the potential to grow. So for me, my philosophy is more of, if I take this money that I'm holding on to in savings or wherever, if I release some of that money and give it the potential to grow, then it'll do me a lot more good than money just sitting in a savings account. Because when you think about it, inflation increases all the time. Things are getting more expensive based on the dollar amount. So say, for instance, if something cost $5 last year, it's probably $5.37 now. That's due to inflation. And even though you may be getting less. So that's inflation. So if you have it sitting in a savings account, and even if it's a high yield savings account, at least these are the things that I was thinking about. A high yield savings account right now, I'm getting 4.35% with American Express. Not financial advice, not an advertisement. I just really like them. But even with that, a lot of times it won't keep pace with inflation. So how did their money sit? It's just going to be losing value anyway. Whereas if I release some of that money and I put it into the stock market or put it into a trading account and continue to build my skills, then I'm able to potentially grow that money and be able to beat inflation. So that's just kind of how I think. This is my whole philosophy, or part of my philosophy on money. I could literally talk hours about that, but we don't have that much time here today. So amazing quote by Grant Cardone. And one of the things that I did was I used some of the skills that I had. So one of the things was I used to be a technical career coach. So technical is basically, I have a degree in mechanical engineering, or undergrad degree in mechanical engineering. And I also have experience being a technical hiring manager, meaning that I worked for a company or several companies and I led technical teams. So I knew, and I needed to hire people. So I knew exactly what I was looking for. And basically I was using all those skills together to be able to help people get promotions and find new jobs. So what I did as a coach is I use all those skills, and it was a side income. So I charged a certain amount and I would take some of that money, put it back into the business, take some of that money, put it aside for taxes, take some of that money and pay myself. And then when I pay myself, I take a portion of that money, or I took a portion of that money and I put it into one of those avenues that I talked about up here. So that's that. And then also I switched, and once I got an Ivy League MBA, or at least got into an Ivy League MBA program, and if you've been watching this channel, you know that I got my MBA from Yale a couple years ago. And at that time, I was also looking at MIT. I was looking at Columbia, which is another Ivy League school. President Obama actually went there, or former President Barack Obama actually went to Columbia. But anyway, I was looking at those schools and did a lot of research. And basically, I did a whole bunch of work, And eventually I got into the program, and then I did grad school coaching, where basically people were professionals. They were looking to go to grad school, specifically getting a business degree or an MBA, or which is also known as a Master of Business Administration, and started to coach people on how they can get into their programs. Even though they may not have been interested in Yale, they were interested in some other school, they still reached out to me because just like I'm making videos right here about trading, I used to make videos about these other areas here on YouTube, and that's mostly how I got clients. So I just took all the skills that I had, found a way to monetize them. I really like coaching, so coaching was a vehicle for me. And like I said, I funneled that money into multiple different things for the money to potentially grow in the future. So another thing that I did, though, was actually kind of fun, and that I actually used to do a really long time ago, even back in undergrad, where I would buy things. So I really liked luxury things. And even back then, I really liked luxury handbags and stuff like that. So I was not at the point at 21, at that time, 2021, to be able to afford Chanel, but I was able to afford Coach and able to afford Michael Kors and some of those other kind of designers that are popular. I would buy the bag, wear it, and then resell it. So, and then get some of my money back and then put that money into a new bag or money into shoes. Well, not really shoes at that time. I didn't really level up until I started working full-time as an engineer. And then that's when I got off into Gucci, Chanel, and Christian Louboutin as far as shoes, and then Louis Vuitton, which everybody knows and loves. So basically what I was doing, let's just go back to maybe 4 years ago during the pandemic, I was looking at different things to sell around my house. So it was some luxury things that I sold that I wasn't using, that was basically collecting dust. So I was able to collect money on that. And then also I'm really into photography, videography, all of that. So at that time, I had a lot of equipment and some really high-priced camera lenses that were literally collecting dust, and I sold those things. So I just kind of look around my house and it's okay, well, what is something that I can sell of value? Maybe put it on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or whatever other site. There's so many of these different sites these days, but what can I sell around my house? And I could take that money and put into the stock market. So if you follow me on Instagram, which is @chartconfidence, then you will see in my bio at this point, it says turn 20K into 100K. That is how I was able to do it. It's like I started off with money and I was looking for more ways to grow that account. So I was selling things around my house and then just kept throwing it into something. And then I was able to grow that money really significantly. So that is another way to fund your account. And that's something that I did. And as you can see, it paid off. So, and that money that I made from that particular time, it was roughly between 6 months and 18 months because I was putting money in over time. That actually funded most of a professional sabbatical that I had, that I was able to take off from work for 2 years and not really worry about money, which is awesome. And then another thing is friends and family are another avenue, friends and family. So people over time, especially if you get good, they'll ask you what you're doing with the stock market. Maybe they have some kind of interest and maybe they want to give you some money to invest. Now, not financial advice whatsoever, but this is something that I've seen work for other people. I haven't really asked my friends and family for money, but one thing to consider is the gift tax, especially in the United States. I believe that limit right now is about $18,000. So as long as they're not giving you more than $18,000, that could be something. Obviously, consult the right professionals such as an accountant, lawyer, and those other financial advisors, all those people, not me. So anyway, another thing you have to think about is the tax burden. So if you take some money from, or if somebody gives you money and you invest it for them, then you may be responsible for the taxes on that. But I wouldn't even think about taxes. Just know that it's a thing. And then keep in mind, you are not a financial advisor or a licensed investing professional unless you've gone through the whole Series 7 and whatever else in order to be seen by the United States government. And it may be different if you're watching this from another country, but just know that this is an avenue for some people. So it's not an avenue that I pursued, but I do know for other people this has worked. So a final note here, you want to find ways to increase your income and take advantage of opportunities. So I've talked about a lot of different things in this video and things that I've personally done, but basically you want to find ways to increase the income, take advantage of opportunities that are presented to you, and just know that nothing is going to be handed to you. You have to put in the work. That's the way it is. One thing that I found with YouTube, a lot of these videos that I've watched, especially when I was really early in trading, a lot of it made it seem like it was really easy. So I would click on these videos, I would say, 99% win rate. There is no such thing. Okay, please stop it. And then second, there would be these videos about, how I turned, let's take some crazy number, $100 into $100,000. Well, there's a lot of different steps that goes onto that. And I don't watch them anymore, but at the time I did watch those type of videos more so because it was inspirational. Now I know that over time, people took this $100 and they either grew it by increasing their skills in trading. And at the same time, they did put more money into it to grow. So most times it's not just, I purely started off with $100. I just happen to have a $100 bill right here is actually inspiration for me, but take this $100 and then turn it into $100,000. So it's typically not that. It's typically all these things that I just talked about in this video. So one of the things I want to leave you with as well is that you don't have to get it right. You just have to get it going. This is an amazing quote by Alex Hormozi. And if you don't know who he is amazing marketer and just incredible, very inspirational. But a lot of times people don't start because they don't know where to start, and that's totally understandable. You just have to get educated. And then when I look at my own journey, when I talked about over 14 years ago, when I started my journey in investing, I actually wanted to start maybe 5 years earlier than that. So really long time ago, but basically I didn't get started because it's like I read books, but I was too afraid to get started. And I didn't want to make a mistake. That was one of the biggest things that stopped me from starting. But if I knew this quote back then, that I didn't have to get it right, I just have to get going, I would be much further along right now than I am. And that's why I'm sharing this information in terms of sharing my story and the lessons that I learned on this journey with you, so that way maybe you can make better decisions than I did. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, type those comments down below and let me know exactly what you want, because then that could give me an idea, and then maybe you'll see a video like this on this channel. I'll talk to you later. Bye.